everyone. My name is Alba and welcome to my home. Today we're working on a project on the J-350 long arm. I have it set up as a 5-foot length. Yours may be set up at a longer length or something different, but this is a project that you can do very easily. And I'm really excited because I am not working on a quilt today. Let me show you what we're working on. Here is my sample, and this is a reverse applique pillow. And this is almost complete. This is the front side. And we're working in different layers where we're cutting away fabric. And I have one that is not completely cut, and I'm just not seeing it right now. But this is cut away at the top layer to reveal that fabric underneath and give you a peekaboo type of look. I am going to be sewing 4. I'm going to give you directions to sew 4. If you want to do a double-sided reversible pillow or you have a 10-foot long arm, you can easily create all 8 squares to make a front and back of the pillow. Now, on the long arm, I am going to explain my layers that I have. My backing is the first thing on my long arm, and the backing will be the inside of the pillow, and it will not be visible to the outside. So you could really plan this fabric accordingly. I have my batting. I'm using Quilter's Dream Cotton in Select. It's a medium, but use your favorite batting that you'd like to use for your quilting projects. Now, that top layer that goes onto the batting is the fabric that will be revealed and what you will see after you cut away. So I've done this as a print here and a solid on the top layer. This could also be reversed with a solid and a print, 2 solids. You could get as creative as you want. But with my top fabric, I'm going to really show you this fabric. This is a knit stretchy fabric, a t-shirt fabric. And the reason I use a t-shirt fabric on the top, I have found that when you cut away a knit, it does not ravel, it does not fray, and that stretchiness helps you pick up the top layer to cut just the top layer and not cut anything that you shouldn't be. I am going to show you a couple of different options. How you cut away will make this design look very different. So here I cut out that outer rim and left the inside intact. Here I've cut away what looks like that interior heart. Same design, but look at how different those look. So you might want to do the front cut one way, the back cut another. Get creative with this process. Now, I'm going to be going to my machine and my screen, and I'm going to show you a shortcut that I love to do using the marking tools to tack all of my layers down. As you can see, my long arm has all the layers that I spoke about all set up for me. And I like to stitch down my layers so nothing shifts, nothing moves, especially with that top fabric being stretchy. And I will be doing this with the marking tools. So we are going to the screen and I'm going to show you exactly how this is set up. I am in Quilter's Creative Touch. I am selecting Select and Sew. The design that I've used for this project is a built-in design. I am choosing the block design, and I have 6 pages of built-in designs The design I want is on page number 4. And it is the heart clover design. And I am going to select that and select open to open up my design. Easy so far, right? And it's really an easy project. The fabrics that I have on my frame, I have a 12-inch piece of the reveal fabric and an 18-inch piece of the knit fabric. I like to cut that top fabric a little bit bigger to give me a little bit more leeway and just an easier time tacking everything down. Now, I know many of you have said, I don't like manually moving my machine and basting or sewing everything down. I can't get my lines as straight as I'd like them, and I'm going to let you in on my secret. Right on the screen is a key that says Toolbox, and when I press that, I have some options. I have placements, ruler, and marking tool. Marking tool will become your best friend once you understand how that works. I am going to touch marking tools, and I have add, remove last, remove all that's popped up. I am going to go around my fabrics and place my marking tools to tack all of this down. Now, I leave this at the stitch length that I am going to stitch everything on because this will be cut away. You can do this at a longer stitch length, a smaller number like a 6 for basting if you're working on a quilt. Now, I may go out of picture, but I am going to explain everything that I'm doing. I am starting at one corner and putting my needle so that it's over all of my layers and hitting add. I can add as many points or as few points, and now that I'm right here, you'll see that red line come into play, and this is what will stitch. Now I'm moving my ruler and marker because I will need them in a little bit. And as I said, I could add as many or as few points as I need. And what's nice is I get a visual on my screen of where my line is going. And as you could see, that red box is going to be my stitching line that will be sewn out. And I've placed my last marking. I'm coming a little bit closer for you to see where I'm at. I have not placed my design yet, and that is on purpose. So let me get better into screen so that you could see what I'm doing. Now, on the right-hand side of the screen is a button that says Quilt, and above it, it gives you choices of what you want the machine to sew. I do not want to stitch my pattern, so I am unchecking that. What I want to stitch is my marking tools. So I have marking checked, and that's the only thing that I have checked. I'm just going to move this out of the way because I'll be using that very soon. Now, what I will be doing is stitching out and tacking down all the layers of fabric. I am going to touch quilt. It's giving me a notice. I have not placed my pattern. Correct, I did not because I'm not stitching it quite yet. So I'm saying okay. And now sew is available, And I am going to touch sew. I am going to get out of the way so that you will see my machine get into place, and you will see it sewing all around. Now, the area that I'm stitching will be trimmed away, so I have not bothered with pulling up my bobbin thread. You can do that if you would like. As I am stitching, I am just making sure that my fabric does not shift, does not move, and I'm staying ahead of my machine. But because I've made that top fabric so much larger, it just makes this very easy to do. And as you can see, it's tacking down all of my layers. Nice and straight, easy. And I'm going to double check that my corners are going smoothly. Usually the corners is where the fabric might curl or move out of place. So that is really where I'm paying attention. And you will see the machine coming towards you. And I'm going to come right in front of the screen. And just that easily, the marking tools have tacked down and basted all of my layers, keeping a really nice control of everything. I do this on all my quilts on the sides so the fabric doesn't shift as I'm quilting. You will see that my machine is locking, and I am going to cut my thread because I have that option with me. I am now, two things that you will need in addition is a 9.5-inch square ruler and a marking device for marking the fabric. Now, I am using a Sharpie, but I suggest that you use some sort of fabric pencil, fabric marker, and I am placing this on the strip of fabric, leaving a little bit of room in between, and with my Sharpie, I am drawing all around my ruler. My completed pillow will be an 18-inch pillow. With the 9.5-inch square, this is giving me my seam allowance and just giving me exactly where I need to place my designs. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. And we're now at the point where we will be placing our design. So on my screen, it says finished, back to placement. And I am finished with that marking tool. I am actually going to remove those marks because I don't need them anymore. And I want to make sure where it says quilt, I am unchecking markings. And I am checking pattern. And when you check markings, it's really close to quilt. You may want to use a stylist so you don't accidentally hit quilt. Now, for a block, I like to use 4-point placement. And I'm going to be placing in my marked area right here. We will be doing this 4 times to make our pillow front or pillow back. I will be showing you once and then cutting it out and going through that cutting and completion. I want to go to that upper left-hand corner. I am placing my foot so that it is right on that marking where it's 9.5 inches. From the edge of my foot to where my needle is 1/4 of an inch, and that will be the seam allowance within that marked area. So I'm lining up my foot so that it is right on the edge of the markings, and I am touching that corresponding point on my screen. And it went from gray to green, and these front two might be a little bit easier to see. I am going to touch that lower left-hand corner, and it's morphing right to the size of my square. I like to use 4 points when I'm quilting because here I've traced a perfectly square line, but if my quilt is pieced, I may have a block that's just slightly off, and by placing it with that 4 points, it makes it look perfect when your piecing may be imperfect. I am moving my machine towards the center of my block. It does not need to be perfect. I am going to touch quilt. I am set up at 14 stitches per inch at a medium speed. It's rare that I quilt at anything but a medium speed. And for this, because we're cutting away, I want really tight stitches that will not pop or come undone or unravel as this is laundered. Now, to change that, if you don't have it, in the square area where you're seeing your information, if you tap it, you will get your information to change any of those settings, especially that stitch length. I am touching OK, and I am going to go to sew. Now I'm getting my scissor ready. You can pull up your bobbin thread with this. I am not, because the inside of this pillow will not be seen. This is not like a traditional quilt. And I am just going to cut that little bit of thread, and I am going to let you watch the machine stitch out this design. Having everything tacked in place just keeps this fabric from stretching, moving, and it just makes the whole process much easier. Now, I have stitched one of these designs. You will be stitching either 4 or 8, depending on if you're doing double-sided. I will be moving my machine out of the way, and now I will be showing you the completion of this. And I'm just going to move into a better spot so that you could see what I am doing. Now, scissors become a really important thing, and you want a pair of scissors that has a really sharp point that will allow you to get into this area. You will be cutting out each square, and the marking that you did, that 9 1/4 with the ruler, is actually your cutting line. And that is the outer edge of your fabric and what you will square up to. I do suggest doing a little top stitch right along that edge inside that 1/4 inch seam allowance, so that when you sew these together, you make sure to get all of the layers and everything is laying flat. Now, as I said, where you cut will make a big difference to this design. So this one here where I cut that outer edge gives you a very different design than here. Let me hold that up, where I cut those inner hearts. Now you may cut it differently for each one of the 4 squares and put it together. You could really, your imagination is your limit on this, but look at how different those look. Now I have my 4 that are sewn together, and I'm going to show you the back side. Here is my backing fabric, and that will be the inside of the pillow, where the pillow form goes up against this. I have ironed my seams open because it makes it less bulky to the front. And here I did a little bit more cutting, where I cut into the inside along with those outer heart petals. And I will find that one area that I left uncut, and it's right here. So I'm going to hold this up, and I'm going to be trimming and cutting while holding it up, because I really want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Now, with those pointy scissors, I am grabbing that knit fabric, and when you're on a flat surface, this is much easier, but you see how I did a little nick and I put my scissor in there, and because of that stretch, I am able to really trim and go all around. And you'll see how easy that is to trim, and it leaves very little around that edge and no fraying. So this can be laundered. I don't suggest trimming this up in the air. The way I'm doing on a flat surface is much easier. So I've trimmed a little bit of that away, and you'll see how that reveal fabric pops up. Now, you will be doing this. Here is 4 put together, and this is the front of my pillow. I will be working on the back of my pillow, and what I will be doing for the back is I will be doing 2 cut with that outer edge, 2 cut separately, and I'm going to have a very different back and front. And these 2 sides will be sewn together to make my 18-inch pillow. I really like doing pillows. Pillows is just a great way to change up a living room, a den, a bedroom, and make it very seasonable and change things up at a nominal cost. I want to thank you for joining me. I hope that you really enjoy this project, and make sure to send me pictures of what you've made and the combinations of fabric that you've chosen. Until next time, bye-bye.